Hey guys, James here from eBassGuitar. In today's bass guitar lesson, I want to show you some simple things that you can do every single day to help you master the bass guitar neck. I'll see you inside the lesson. So learning the bass guitar fretboard or neck can be super challenging at times. So I would love to know, what's your biggest challenge or biggest frustration when it comes to learning the bass guitar neck? Or perhaps you were struggling and you had a major breakthrough. Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to find out. So the first step to mastering the bass guitar fingerboard is to make sure you're super familiar with the names of the open strings. On a 4-string bass, those are simply an E, an A D, and a G. And what I suggest doing is putting a little saying to it. The one I like to use is elephants and dogs grow. Simply that. There are many others. You can make up your own, but that was the one which works for me. So once you're really comfortable with the names of the open strings on the bass guitar, the next step is to figure out how the musical alphabet works. Now, the names of the notes that we use in the musical alphabet are the first 7 letters of our regular alphabet, which is an A, a B, a C, a D, an E, an F, and a G. But we need to figure out how these fit to the bass guitar fretboard. So typically, the distance between one letter name is what we call a whole step. And this is 2 frets on the bass guitar. So we can go C to a D like that, fret 3 to fret 5, and we can find these whole steps all over the neck like that. And so typically, one letter name to the next is a whole step, but there are 2 exceptions that I want to take you through right now. So to start mastering the bass guitar neck, you need to know exactly how these work. To show you this in action, what I'm going to do is use a C major scale. And we're going to start playing the C major scale at the 3rd fret on the A string. So what I want you to do is grab a fretboard diagram like this. So here is an empty fretboard here, and I want you to just start filling this in right in the names of the notes. If you want a copy of this, you can get this from the free eBassGuitar Bass Players Action Pack. There's a link in the description below, and you can find this in the resources section. So let me show you how these 7 letter names fall using a simple C major scale. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this from the 3rd fret on the A string. So we're going to start off with a C, and then we're going to move to a D, which is a whole step down. So that's 2 frets, and that is our D there. And then we're going to move to an E, which is at fret 7, which is another whole step or 2 frets further down the string. So we have C, D, E. And so we've covered 2 whole steps so far. Now this is the important thing where it starts to just change a little bit. So to go to the next letter name from an E to an F, this is what's called a half step. It's only 1 fret away. So we're going to go from fret 7 to fret 8 like that. So the first 4 notes are a C, a D, an E, and then we hit the F there at fret 8. Now we're going to carry on. So our next letter name that we're looking for is a G, which it can be found at fret 10 here, and that again, that is a whole step or 2 frets away. Now the next note after that is an A, which we can get at fret 12, which again is a whole step away. And then 1 more whole step is going to take us to the B, like that, which is at fret 14. And then our last note from a B to a C is literally a half step away, like that. So we have these 2 half steps in there. So this is the really important thing to appreciate about how the musical alphabet works. So what I would love you to do is just write down those notes on the fretboard diagram so you can see how they can fall on the neck. And you'll start to see a distinctive pattern falling on the neck. And you'll see this pattern of whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, which you'll see time and time again in your music career. So the next stage of this is to learn all of the notes, every single fret from the open string up to fret 12 on the E string. Reason why we're learning the first 12 frets is because when you get to 13 or fret 13 onwards, it just simply replicates. So all we need to do is learn the first 12 frets, and we can also call this the first octave. So once we know how the 7 letter names fall and where the whole and the half steps are, is we can start filling in the rest of the notes. So we're going to start on the E. And we know the next letter name is going to be an F, which is a half step away, which is at the first fret there. Now, after this, we get what's called sharps and flats that we can put in here. So we can have an F sharp or a G flat at fret 2, like that. And then we can go to a G at fret 3, like that. Then we can go to what's called a G sharp or an A flat at fret 4. And then we can go to an A at fret 5. Don't forget, stop and start this video and write down all of these names on your fingerboard diagram so you can see what they look like written down. So to continue on after that, we can go to fret 6 and we have what's called an A sharp or a B flat. It's exactly the same note. So if you're looking at it from the perspective of an A, it's going to be an A sharp, or if you're looking at it from the perspective of a B, it's going to be a B flat. And then at fret 7, we're going to have the B. And don't forget, there's no sharp or flat here because we go directly from the B to the C to fret 8 here. And then we have a C sharp or D flat. And then we have a D. And then we have a D sharp or E flat. And then we have an E like that. And so what we've done there is we've covered every single note in the first octave of the bass guitar, and crucially we have covered 12 note names there, or 12 frets. And so this is where the 12 notes of music come from, and you can see directly how they fall on the bass guitar neck. Now the next stage, which I'm going to take you through, is to start memorizing it. If you need any help with anything we've just covered there, inside the Bass Lab Plus, which is my training program over at eBassGuitar, we have a full course on this called the Ultimate Music Theory Bootcamp, which will take everything I've just discussed step by step and take it apart so you can really understand it in detail. So the great thing is, once you've learned one string, it's relatively straightforward to superimpose all the same knowledge onto the other 3 strings, because exactly the same formulas work. But what I want to do now is show you a bit of a hack that you can use every day to start learning the notes, because I appreciate even memorizing those 12 notes can be pretty overwhelming. So what I want you to do is simply learn the names of the notes which fall at the dots. These dots are our kind of landmarks on the instrument, and we subconsciously use them all of the time as bass players so we know where we are on the neck. So it's really important to know the names of the notes which fall there. And the great thing is we only need to learn them on 2 strings as well. And I'm going to show you how that works in just a second. So let's learn the names of the notes on the dots on the E string first of all. So those names are going to be a G at the 3rd fret, an A at the 5th fret, a B at the 7th fret, and at the 9th fret we have a C sharp. So it kind of almost works alphabetically. So G, A, B, C sharp, like that. And then the double dots are always the octave as well, which is an E, the same as the open strings. Now, what my little hack here is that I do all of the time is that I'm consciously using octave shapes to locate around the instrument the whole time. So let me demonstrate how this works. An octave is 2 frets down, or 2 strings down, 2 frets along even. And we end up with this L shape on the neck like that. So I know that if I use this L shape, that note there is going to be a G, that note there is going to be an A, that note there is going to be a B, and that note there is going to be a C sharp. And I am consciously using this all of the time to navigate around the fingerboard. I do it very, very quickly because I've been doing it for years, but I really only know the E and the A strings really, really well. And the rest of it is kind of triangulating using these shapes, because this bass guitar is this geometric instrument that once you start to get to know it, you see all of these patterns within it. So that is my tip, is to get to know the octave shape really well. So to demonstrate what I mean is we could have G, A, B and C sharp there. And then on this next string here, on the A string, we have the notes C, D, E, and then F sharp there, like that. So if you learn the names of the dots, the notes at the dots there, and use the octave L shape, you can really find out the names which are on the D and the G string really, really quickly. And so those are our landmarks. And then all you need to do is fill in the gaps on the notes which don't have the dots with sharps and flats. So for instance, between a C and a D, the note there is either going to be a C sharp and a D flat. So it's really quick to start locating every other note. So that's the first thing I want you to start doing every day, is to make sure you know the names of the notes on the dots really well on the E and the A string to begin with. So before I show you the last exercise or drill in this lesson, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we release a lesson just like this every single week, designed especially for beginner to intermediate bass guitar player. There's a red subscribe button somewhere around this video. So the last exercise or drill I'm going to show you today is very, very powerful. And what I want you to do is just take one note and then locate it all over the fingerboard on every single string and in every single position. So what I'm going to do to demonstrate is just take a simple G note, and what I want to do is find as many G's as possible on the bass guitar. So we can either work in positions or we can work going up and down the string here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it sort of horizontally along the string. So let me show you what I mean by this. So we're going to go G, and then we're going to find another G there. And then we're going to go onto the A string and find a G there. And then we're going to find a G there on the D string. And then on the G string, we have the open G like that. And then we have a G there. And then there's another G on the D string up something like the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th fret up there. So the exercise is to find as many of one note as possible. So you could also do it sort of working in a position area of the neck and gradually work your way up. So you could do G, and then the open G like that, and then the G there, and then the G there, and then the G there, and then the G there. And you can see I'm sort of crabbing from position to position. Now the next stage, if you really want to push yourself, is you can put a metronome on 2 as well. So let me try it at 70 beats per minute like this. And I want to just play G's all of the time, but I'm shifting every single time. So 1, 3, 4. Like that. You can speed it up, slow it down, but that will really force you to start thinking quickly. And you can try this with any note you want on the neck. Let's just do it with an A. So we could do the A there, the open A, the A there, the A there, the A there, the A there. So there are so many options, and if you do this every single day, pick a different note, you will be surprised how rapidly you can start to learn the fingerboard and start to see all the different shapes emerging throughout the neck. So guys, that's the end of today's lesson. If you've enjoyed this session, I've got 2 more videos I would love you to check out. The first one is to continue on learning the major scale, because this simply is the most important scale us bass players need to know. There's a link in the description below where you can check that lesson out. And the second one is to continue building your knowledge of the fretboard. And I've got a lesson on exactly how to do that using a device called pentatonics. So make sure you check that out. Both lessons are got links in the description below. Cheers, I've been James from eBassGuitar, and I'll catch you next week.